table family, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome if you are new, welcome back if you've been here before. I invite you to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video, which is every Wednesday. And also don't forget to hit that like button, share this with your friends. Let's grow this community. Let's make this a great place to gather and do crafts together. And let's just have fun while we're doing it. And today we're going to be making a spring sign and a little faux salt lamp. So if you want to know how to make these things, just keep watching and pull up a chair at the table and we will get to creating. Starting with our faux salt lamp, you're going to want to choose a lamp base that fits your decor, whatever jar you want to use. I'm using a Snapple type jar. It's not the actual Snapple jar, but it's one like that. And I start to feed in my string of fairy lights. And I got these fairy lights from Amazon. They come in a set of 12 for $13. And I'm just feeding that in. And then I start to pour in whatever color you choose. I'm using the pink, obviously, for being a salt lamp. They're usually pink. So I start to pour in using a funnel to sift in some of those rocks in a layer. And then I will feed in some more of the lights and then more of the rocks and more of the lights, and you're just going to filter that in and feed it in layers like that so you can see the lights through the rocks as you're filling up the jar. Using a flower pot that fits a size base that you have, I have kind of a medium-sized one. I did paint this gray, but I lost the footage on that somehow, but this is elephant gray in the acrylic apple barrel paint from Walmart. That's what I chose to use for my shade. And I place this on top just using the glue dots because you want to be able to remove this. So you'll straddle a glue dot over the rim of your jar, about 4 of them, and then set your shade down on top and just press it down for it to stick and stay steady while it's being displayed. And here is our lamp all completed. You'll want to leave the end of the light strand hanging out of the jar rim, and your lampshade will fit over top of that just fine. I also painted a wooden bead pink for the finial on top of the shade and just glued that down with glue dots as well. Moving on to our spring sign, you're going to want to take a piece of wood of the size of your choice and paint it whatever color you choose. I'm choosing to paint this one pink for spring. Be sure to cover the face and all 4 sides of your sign. And using a round foam brush that I got in a set, I think that was from Walmart, I used celery green. This looks gray, but it is a celery green color to put on polka dots. And I just go straight down, dipping it into the paint and then right onto the sign and moving them around. Not moving the brush, but just putting the dots in various places on top of the pink paint. Okay, so using the cutters that I mentioned in a previous video that I have all these shapes of ovals and circles, I use the ovals to cut petals for a daisy that we're going to layer up on top of each other and create kind of a large scrapbook paper daisy, and they're in white. And I just cut probably somewhere around 10 or so petals that I'll be making 2 flowers with, and I'm going to layer a larger one on top of a smaller one. And you won't even have to make a full flower on the one that goes underneath, and you'll see it'll be layered over top, and you won't even know that the underneath one is not a full flower, and that saves you on having to use that many more petals. So if you can cut an oval on your own, then you can just do that. I cannot do that, so I use these cutters, and these are a fantastic tool to use for scrapbooking and for crafting or anything like that. I love these tools. I don't even know if they make these anymore. I got them from something called Creative Memories. I don't know if Joann's or Michael's carries such a thing. They might, so you might want to check there to see if they have these kind of tools, but they are definitely a well spent money. This investment was definitely worth it for me. Now placing these together, kind of overlapping about halfway across your petal, maybe a little bit less than that, you're going to circle these, sticking them together. I use the glue dots. I found that to be the easiest thing to use. And you're just going to overlap them, lay them around almost in a fan blade kind of a pattern where you're overlapping. I hope that made sense, but you're going to overlap and just create a circle of petals so that when you are done with it, it will look like a daisy with all the petals overlapped. And there's going to be something placed in the center, so don't worry about how that looks in the center, them overlapping and looking kind of goofy, because that will be covered up. But again, just using these glue dots, probably 2 per petal, somewhat halfway up the petal and then down towards the bottom, so that they stick well together and create this daisy once you put them in a circle and overlap them. And I used probably, I don't know how many I used on that one, on the big one, probably 5 or 6 petals I think I used on that. So just keep overlapping and sticking them together, and you will create a scrapbook paper daisy. And selecting whatever button color that you like, I'm just kind of using this darker colored one. I have a thing of buttons that's more natural colors. You're just going to take your hot glue gun or glue dots if you're more comfortable with that, and glue on the button right to the center of the daisy, making the center of the flower. Now, using my glue gun, I am going to glue down these flowers to the sign, but I'm getting them in place first. And I made that half flower to go underneath the bigger one, and I only used about 4 petals, using that same pattern of overlapping, creating like half of a flower. And that one will go down first, and then you lay your bigger one on top. Don't put your button on the small one yet until you get them in place, and then you can see where to put that button. But I just lift up on some of the petals and put the glue underneath and stick them down. And then you have them in place, and then after those 2 flowers are on there where you want them, in the corner, or that's where I chose to put mine, bottom left corner, then you're going to want to put on your last button of the flower that's behind, so that you know exactly where you want to place it, to make it look like the center of the flower is kind of just peeking out from behind the bigger flower. I had some fancier letters that are a little bit more script-like, and I spelled out the word spring in an arched pattern in the upper left corner, kind of arching kind of across that corner. And then I had some other block letters, that style of block letters that I used to spell out the rest of the sign. Now this one is going to say spring in the, and then my last name. You can put in there spring with the and your last name or whatever, but my last name works to say in the. So I'm using, to make these letters straight, since I am blind, I am using a tape measure to just stretch across the sign and get it straight, because it hooks onto the one side of the sign, and then I stretch it across to the other side. And I just put my letters right up against that tape measure and start gluing down. I just lift them up a little bit and put the glue gun underneath and give it a little squirt of glue and stick it down. You really don't have to get these completely totally covered, because the little bit of glue that's on there will stick the whole letter down. And I just keep doing that with each letter, measuring it up against the tape measure, and then putting it the same distance apart from each other, using my finger to kind of measure the distance apart. Now with the word in, I don't really have to do that much, because it's just the 2 letters. But with the other words, I try to put them about a finger width apart from each other, and I just keep pressing them up against the edge of that tape measure. And I just move the tape measure down and get a good distance of what I feel is a good distance between the 2 words and then the other 2 words. So just, again, lifting them up and gluing them down that way keeps me from having to move the letters around and then potentially not getting them straight or moving them further off than what I want. So I'm just going to keep lining them up, gluing them down until I get all of my letters in place, kind of on the right side, about halfway down the sign, and then moving the rest of the way down to the right hand corner. And here's our 2 spring projects together up on my mantle. I love the way these look together. I love the color combinations. I think that just screams spring, and I really love how these turned out. Okay, folks, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed these crafts. I hope you are staying in and finding things to do. And if you don't have the materials to make this, just save it for a later date. But just enjoy watching for now, and we will meet back here again next Wednesday. But before you go, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. and join me back here. Let's grow this table family, and let's see how many likes we can get on this video. Let's try to get it to 50 likes, and we'll see where it goes from there. So once again, thank you so much. Stay in, stay warm, have fun, do what you can do, and don't forget to pray for one another. And even though we make lovely creations here, remember that there is only one creator. See you next week.